Bo Nix has been named the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos. Right before the show started, everybody got that push alert. Bo Nix, QB1 in Denver for the Broncos.
I mean, are we really surprised at all here, even though Sean Payton said 2 days ago, I'm not in a hurry to name a number one? It's like, I don't understand why coach speak is this.
Mm-hmm.
It's all so very dumb.
Yeah.
College football, I get it in the sense of like you want to hold on because of the transfer portal and you have to lie through your teeth and string some kid out and be basically a terrible human for the betterment of your program.
Yeah.
But in the NFL, it's merit. Everyone knows it, and if you try to start a quarterback that's not him, you're gonna have a mutiny. So just if the entire camp is saying it's Bo. We all know. So just move on, man. The whole we don't know, and so you came to this conclusion 48 hours later.
I think there was a want to protect your rookie quarterback because, look, I am on team. If you can sit a guy,
yeah, sure.
If you can, but what we all saw, and I think Sean Payton wanted to live that life and was hoping that would be the approach that they could take with Bo Nix is, all right, we already got a guy who's ahead of the curve, who's seen more snaps in college than any other guy who's ever played before. Quite literally, the most starts in college football history heading into his NFL career. And now he was sitting there going, all right, he's ahead of the curve. If we can save him for as long as we can, that is going to do nothing but benefit Bo Nix in the future. But then we all watched preseason game number 1 where no quarterbacks got sacked. Guys took care of the ball pretty well. And then game 2, you had Stidham with a sack and a pick. Zach Wilson holds on to the ball too long, gets sacked a couple of times. Nix goes 8 for 9, 80 yards, and no sacks, no interceptions. Makes it pretty hard to sit there and say, yeah, no, we still have a really tight competition when the rookie is the guy who has looked the best for you and when everybody is able to watch it and everybody's able to see it.
And from the protecting the rookie standpoint, we've talked about this a lot over the last week or so. If you can't physically protect him, as in your offensive line is terrible, then don't play him. Pay the other guy the 1-year contract. I hate to say this, but like pay the tackling dummy and get through the year and then improve your offensive line and go from there.
Jacoby Brissett.
Yes, 100%, because you don't want Drake May to die back there and get David Card.
Yeah.
We've seen it. Peyton Manning is the only quarterback maybe ever in the modern era to throw a crap ton of picks and get absolutely smoked in the pocket for an entire season and be a productive quarterback, let alone great.
Joe Burrow would be the other one.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow. But, I mean, his offensive line was so bad, his ACL went beep, gone. So it's really hard to do. And we saw, like, with guys like Bryce Young, where more and more has been coming out over the dysfunction in Carolina last year with that coaching staff. Apparently there were 4 or 5 different coaches on the offensive side of the ball that had an opinion of how their offense would be run, and all of them tried to get into his ear. And so this year, like, job number 1 for Dave Canales as the head coach, that is his thing, is he has gotten and squeezed the most out of quarterbacks. See Baker Mayfield last year when they were in Tampa together. He is just number 1 all camp long is, I don't care what happens. I just want to build a bond, build a rapport, know that there are 2 voices that he needs to hear. It is mine and his quarterback's coach, and it's been nothing but relationships. And then at that point, they'll be like, we'll see if he can actually play in the NFL or not. But it was, you had an awful roster, no weapons around you, 0 protection, and a bunch of voices all thinking they knew what they should do offensively, and none of them were on the same page. That's a recipe for disaster for a guy.
There's also...
they still need to figure out if he can play, though.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was one of the top rating services. Might have been PFF. Might have been the NFL Next Gen Analytics, the NFL Plus, the new one. They had a write-up that in the 104-year history of football, Bryce Young was the least productive rookie quarterback ever.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why.
Like, it was just like, oh. But I mean, like, in that same token, as much as want to protect a guy, now Bryce Young is not playing at all in the preseason.
Because the entire, it's exactly what I just said. They don't They don't want anything to be out there because they don't want to build a controversy. It's all about relationship, rapport, and then we're going to see if you play. But first, we need to clear out all of the mess that was between his ears, and then we're going to go out and we'll see. Apparently, that mess is taking a very long time to get them to the point where they're going to roll him out for the preseason. But we're seeing all of these franchises are handling quarterback situations in a bizarre way, right? You have whatever's going on in Carolina. You have down in Atlanta where Penix plays one preseason game, he gets hit. They're shelving him for the final 2 preseason games. This is a guy that's going to be your backup. And the working theory amongst people who cover the NFL is that Atlanta doesn't want to create a quarterback controversy if Michael Penix Jr. plays really well and they got Kirk Cousins there.
Because they paid, again, the whole point of the ownership.
Yeah.
Ownership paid $100 million for this quarterback, and the GM went, but I don't want that. I'm going to draft Michael Penix.
And then you also had Raheem Morris with he got hit and he got dinged, and then it was like, well, I mean, he's still going to practice, but it's like, well, we know he has a history of getting injured. They probably just want to minimize that as well. Use this year, just recover your body. We're going to use it as a redshirt year essentially for you, and then we'll see what you got moving forward after we see what we have with Kirk Cousins. You have the quarterback situation in New England right now, which is Jacoby Brissett. All of a sudden, Drake May shows a flash in a preseason game, and now Gerard Mayo's like, well, it's still a competition. Well, which one is it? There's a lot of, if you got 2, you got none situations going on. You've got hiding your quarterback in Carolina. You got hiding your backup in Atlanta. It's a really weird time. And so it's refreshing to see Sean Payton do what most coaches that we've known to do, go the old school way and say, all right, we're drawing that line in the sand. Bo Nix is our starter. He will get the ball week 1 in Seattle, going up to Seattle to play the Seahawks. So you'll be able to hear Bo Nix's debut right here on the Fan. Huh?
That city hasn't been kind to him.
Nope. Hasn't. Didn't go well last year when he went up there. Nope.
Probably won't be as loud.
I think it will be. Lumen gets
Yeah,
really
don't get me wrong.
loud.
It gets loud, but it's also it's the Broncos.
It's the Broncos and the Seahawks.
And then there's no Russ there.
But
if Russ was there, I mean,
now we're talking.
you'd be loud. But
Now we're
we're not
talking.
talking about like the most heated rivalry anymore.
He is the first rookie to start the regular season for the Denver Broncos since John Elway in 1983.
Really?
Yeah.
They didn't have
Jake Plummer didn't because who did they have? Who did they have? Was it Billy Joe Hobart? Was that who was there before him?
who's the massive kid they drafted like 6-7 years ago?
Paxton Lynch. No,
he didn't start.
No, because
thought
that
they
was the whole
did.
thing. Is they're like, we gotta start him, and then they're like, you don't want to see it. You don't want to see it, and then
he
they
did.
finally got their wish, and they were like, oh well, yeah, you're right. Don't want to see that one.
Yeah, I thought they did for some reason because I remember it going very badly. I just thought it was going to start, I guess.
Yeah, he's the first Denver rookie to start the regular season opener since John Elway in 1983.
Jake Plummer after Brian Greasy.
He was after Greasy?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Greasy and Steve Berline.
Steve.
Oh my God, I don't even remember
Berline.
Berline as a Bronco.
Who was the starter right after John Elway?
John Elway, you had Bubby Brister some
It
that same
was
year.
Bubby Brister.
But Brian Greasy took
Bubby
over
Brister.
the next year.
Okay.
Bubby Brister started 4 games in 98 when Elway was still there.
Okay.
But then in 1999 was Greasy got 13 starts and Chris Miller with 3 starts.
I saw a video
C-Mill.
of Elway playing at the BMW Pro-Am.
Mhm.
He was warming up. Whew. Age got him.
Tough living.
He
Tough
he
living.
looks old now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where you look at like a Montana or a Young, who they're around the same age, they're aging. But Elway lived a good life, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
You can tell it's his John Daly is catching up with him.
Having fun, dude.
I mean, yeah, this is done a shot. I just looked at it and I was like, who the hell is that? They're like, that's John Elway. I was like, what?
You think that were you also thinking of Brock Osweiler from Arizona State?
Yes,
because they drafted 2
Huge
very tall quarterbacks.
Yeah, because Elway loved big quarterbacks.
Yeah, they were
that thought
both like
made
what,
good.
6'7", 6'8"?
Yeah, they're both
Yeah.
monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah, big tall dudes. Brock Osweiler had a scholarship offer to play basketball at Gonzaga. People forget that.
When Osweiler when Gonzaga was still on their way up.
Yeah, I'm on the way up. But we also have now three of the 4 AFC West quarterbacks that are starters, former Pac-12 guys.
Mm.
2 of them, Oregon Ducks. Just turns out the best one of all of them went to Texas Tech, played in the Big 12, and that's Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Right.
But now you have both 2 times a year. You said this. We're guaranteed to see 2 times a year Bo Nix and Justin Herbert on our local television when the Broncos and the Chargers play each other. And they both are kind of going through the same situation right now where I think Denver is in a better spot. Denver kind of feels like they are at a wide receiver position. I'm just speaking from wide receiver position. They're in the same spot as Green Bay, but to a lesser degree almost. They don't have a number 1, but they've got a lot of solid dudes that we've seen. Cortland Sutton is good. Tim Patrick, if he stays healthy, is good. Marvin Mims Jr. is a speed threat. He is a guy that will get open. Don't I guess? That is true.
I know. I mean, as far as how good they are,
they are.
We went through this last year, and
they're
weren't.
Solid. But Tim Patrick got hurt. And then
if you're
Cortland Sutton got hurt too.
If you're relying on Tim Patrick to be kind of hold things together.
Well, that's what I'm saying is they don't have a number 1. They have a lot of solid guys. They don't have the guy.
I don't think any of those guys is even really a number 2. I think you've got.
I think Cortland Sutton he was a 2 that they paid to be a number 1, and they said that ain't it.
Yeah.
And Tim Patrick is a 2.
Patrick was the Achilles last year, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think he was.
Sounds about right.
Which again
sounds right. He's
anytime that happens, I'm always like,
looking okay. Isn't that weird? Achilles is almost like an ACL was, where we used to think that's it, you're done, never gonna be the same guy again.
The treatment for it over the last 7-8 years is skyrocketing.
It's wild.
Kobe was really the last Achilles guy that had real setbacks for his career and how they played and how they played going forward.
He was after Wes Matthews, right?
And after Elton Brand,
Yeah.
I mean, KD's had his and he's been fine.
He's still the Slim Reaper.
So it's weird.
Science, man.
Yeah.
Science. How about that? Well, Denver's got their guy, but what history will tell us that this is not conclusive that they found their guy for the future, because they've had 13 starting quarterbacks since Peyton Manning.
God, just since Manning. And how many since Elway? 30?
That's another fun game we can play if you want.
11. They've had 11 since Elway.
Yeesh.
I mean, they've gone through it. And we give the Browns, because the Browns jersey is ingrained in our brain. The Bears and the Broncos also have a ridiculously long list of guys that have started at quarterback for them, yet we don't think of them nearly in the same vein as we did the Cleveland Browns. 13 since Manning.
Peyton wasn't that long ago.
No, he just got in as a first ballot Hall of Famer a year ago. So it's been 6 years. Hadn't been that long.
More than 2 quarterbacks a year.
2015.
2015 was his last year. So he got in the Hall of Fame that long ago? Holy balls. Well, I guess then it would have been 2016 would have been his first year out. So 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So he got in 21, 3 years ago.
It's COVID time. It all blends together.
Also, Bo Nix, I saw this via ESPN Stats and Info. He is not even in the top 5 of oldest rookies to start a game. Because Bo was in college forever. He is actually...
Didn't you play against Bo?
No.
I saw somebody, I saw a tweet today that I can't believe Bo Nix is looked at now as the safe quarterback. I have to wonder what Auburn Bo Nix would tell Denver Bo Nix. Because remember, Auburn Bo Nix was not a safe quarterback. That was the problem.
No.
The ball was everywhere.
Look, there's a lot of people that make that was it more of what Oregon did for Bo Nix, or is it more of how Auburn let Bo Nix down?
Mm-hmm.
And I think both of those things are totally true. I think Kenny Dillingham in the reset of finally being reunited with a coordinator, because that was the thing with Bo, is that he had a new offensive coordinator every single year.
Mm-hmm.
And then he comes back. He finally has Dillingham for his second year, and Will Stein, when he came in for that final year, tried to make it as similar as he possibly could to what Kenny Dillingham ran. And weird, both thrived with the play callers. But now, like, I think Oregon benefited Bo Nix tremendously on that reset and just a fresh start and what it meant for him. I also think Auburn let him down and expectations were far too high on Bo Nix heading into his career. And
I mean, it's the SEC when you start as a true freshman.
And true freshman, it was a big game against Oregon. He let him down for a win at the end of that game. Well, Justin Herbert sent one in like the 5th row on the potential game-winning throw in the back of the end zone. But Bo Nix had that game-winning drive, right? And everybody's like, nope, he's the guy, national championship. And then the turnover just kept hitting over and over and over again. And that stunted his growth. I think Oregon, what it meant to buoy him up, and then the letdown of Auburn, both of those things are 100% true with Bo Nix and his development. But he is now, he will be the 6th oldest quarterback to start an NFL game. He'll be 24 years and 195 days old. Oh, no, he's going to be 5th. He's going to take Ryan Tannehill out of the top 5.
Oh, there you go.
Ryan Tannehill was 24 years and 44 days. Ahead of Bo will be Ray Nagel in 1953 for the Chicago Bears.
He came out of the steel factory. In the
Something tells me that he was like fighting in a war.
Yeah, probably.
And then he got out and he was like bumming around working in a factory. And then he was like, I'm going to give this football thing a try.
Had an open tryout.
Bet you I could throw this football over them there mountains.
And the Bears' illustrious heritage of quarterbacks,
Yeah,
he was able to slide right in and
he
play.
completed a pass. That's what happened.
He was 26 years and 132 days. Roger Staubach of the Dallas Cowboys in 1969, he went to Navy, remember?
Yep.
So he did the Navy thing.
I can't remember if he did 3 or 4 back then.
He was 27 years and 228 days.
Probably 4.
And then we get into the minor league baseball players turned quarterbacks.
Chris Winkie.
Oklahoma State's Chris Winkie for the Cleveland Browns, 28 years, 331 days.
Oklahoma State?
Oklahoma State.
Why did I think he was a Florida?
No, Brandon Whedon.
Okay.
You're thinking of Brandon. You said Chris Winkie. It's Brandon Whedon, Oklahoma State.
Okay.
And then the oldest is Chris Winkie of Florida State.
There we go.
Who played for the Carolina Panthers. 29 years, 40 days.
Damn near 30.
That is old.
That's wild.
To make your first start.
As a rookie.
As a rookie.
Yeah.
So Bo Nix, make it top 5.
He's going to be old
Hey,
for a rookie.
You could say Bo Nix, top 5 quarterback of all time. In that top 5 oldest quarterback to start a regular season opener.